I'm going to show you how to find matches for thousands of products right here inside of Google Sheets. And you're taking products from a supplier and finding those same products on Amazon, Amazon URLs, Amazon ASINs. And basically, if you've already been using this Google Sheet, then you already know the process of using the menu item that I've added, Find Amazon Products, to start finding your Amazon URLs, and then continue finding the URLs. However, you might not be familiar with Automate Continue, which I think I just pressed by accident, and stop finding Amazon URLs. So in this video, I'm going to explain everything that you need in order to do a list of products, thousands of products, automatically without having to physically be involved. Now, to start off, you will already see that I have some matches here. What I'm going to do is actually clear them, just so I can kind of explain the process from top to bottom. Now, the first thing is if you click Find Amazon Products on the menu, you then find Start Finding Amazon URLs. Start Finding starts wherever you are. So if you click down here, it's going to start here. All right, so Find Amazon Start means start wherever you are. Okay, whichever row you're on, it will start to look for matches of these products. So that is the first thing. Now, this will continue for a while, and then it will stop. And that is why we have to set up some kind of automated process to continue it. So Google Sheets does not let macros run forever. Okay, it doesn't work that way because Google Sheets is free and they have limited resources. So I'm going to cancel this just to imitate that event of the macro just stopping eventually. It would not stop that quickly. So let's just say it did stop. Then the other option I have is the continue option, which is a manual way of continuing the process. You can be on any row of the sheet, go to Find Amazon Products, click on Continue, find an Amazon URLs, and it will automatically continue from where it left off. It will just automatically continue finding URLs from that last row matched, which is automatically recorded at this point in the sheet. As you can see, it will continue. Now, eventually, this continued process, which is really just the same matching process, this will stop as well, right? And that is where it then becomes kind of a headache if you wanted to do thousands of products to have to keep going back, waiting for it to click continue. That's not what you want to do. What you're going to do is go back to Find Amazon Products again, and you can use Automate Continue, finding Amazon URLs. When you click Automate Continue, finding Amazon URLs, you're not really going to see anything happen here, but what it does is it sets what's called a trigger. And what that trigger will do is I have it set to 30 minutes. So in 30 minutes from the moment that I clicked on that and set it up, in 30 minutes, when this one has stopped, it will just start again and continue again from wherever it stops, leaves off. It will just continue automatically in the future. So what I'm going to do now is go to Extensions and App Script. Extensions, App Script. So you can actually see what is going on there. Okay, it's very important once you're going to use Continue that you come to Triggers over here. App Script and then Triggers. All right, because you need to realize that a trigger was set when you clicked Automate Continue. I'm going to edit the trigger with the pencil so you can see what it's doing. It's time driven and it runs in minutes because automations can be set as minutes, hours, days, various intervals, every 30 minutes in this case. So every 30 minutes it will start again. So what happens now, what you have to be very careful not to do, is if you've set a continue on the sheet in the past, it might continue and it will continue. And let's say it gets all the way down to 10,000, whatever row this is at the bottom, right? You might clear the whole thing, get your results, start over from scratch, and forget that the automate is still going. So what you have to do is also click on Stop in order to stop it. But let me show you what happens if you click Automate again when you already have an automate that you forgot about. Okay, if you click Automate Continue again, when you go over here, I'm going to refresh this. You now have two of them. Okay, you have two processes. This is not good because what happens is these can overlap each other. So one is going to be continuing from one place, and and they're both going to be trying to change the last row at the same time, and it's going to be out of hand, and it's not going to work right. So we don't want this to happen. Okay. So when you are done with a sheet completely at some point, you can simply go to find and stop finding. When you're completely done, meaning you've walked away, you've come back, and then you're done. So you click on stop, and when you come back here, you'll see that they're gone. Now, one thing that's important for you to know, and it's actually a good thing, is that with these triggers, when I click automate continue and a trigger is set, something you might or might not know is that you don't even have to be signed in for this to run. You don't even have to have the Google Sheet open on your page. You don't have to be signed in. It's all happening on Google's servers on their side. So this matching process that's going to start every 30 minutes is just going to keep going no matter what. I could close down this whole browser right now, turn off my machine, come back tomorrow, sign in, and it will have continued matching all the way to the bottom. All right, so that's a great thing about this. Okay, you don't have to keep it open because it's not happening in your browser. And actually, this matching process you see, this finding of Amazon URLs, is also not happening on your computer. It's not happening on your side. It's happening on Google's side. They're just reporting the results in a Google Sheet that you're signed into, right? But they are actually doing it, basically, right? From on their side. So this is an important thing to understand, so that you realize that you don't have to actually keep this open. Now, another thing I want to touch on is the other thing is that when I built this template, I had to give it a particular length. I had to stop somewhere. So I stopped it here at about over 10,000 rows. I didn't really have in mind when I first made this a couple years ago that anyone would use it beyond that point. But I've now come to realize, through talking to more people that, yeah, people do want to go further. So if you want to do that, you have to add more rows. Right? That's one thing, of course. Because you need to have more rows for more products, right? So if you add 10,000 rows, it could take a second or a few seconds. You see now I have over 20,000 rows. So if I had 20,000 products, I would have space for them. But here's the thing. The template is not set up for that. So when I say not set up, I'm not saying that it can't do it. I'm talking about the formulas. The formulas, if you're going to use them, unless you're not going to use them, they don't go all the way down to the bottom. So you will have to copy these down if you want it. It's just like any other spreadsheet. Okay, so this is like any other spreadsheet. Okay, you've got to highlight these things and copy them down. Or you can highlight them, copy. Then what you do is you highlight an area like this. Control-Shift down to get to the bottom, and then you can paste, and it will paste all the way to the bottom. Click paste. That's actually how you paste further down without having to physically keep clicking and dragging. Okay, that's, takes too long. All right, so that's how you'll copy the formulas down. Okay, you just take a section, you highlight it. First step, take just a section. You don't need to highlight the whole thing, just a little section at the bottom. Right click and copy the section. Then highlight again underneath it, only a little, just a few rows. Control-Shift down on the keyboard at the same time. Okay, all three of them. Control, you press Control first, you keep your finger on Control. Press Shift, keep your finger on Shift. Press down, keep your finger on down. You let go, and it comes all the way to the bottom. Right click, paste. And it will paste the formulas all the way to the bottom. All right. Continue over here, and you'll do the same thing on this side with any other formulas that are in here. I'm not going to actually do it right now, but it's basically the same process. Okay, maybe I'll just do a bunch more here. You can go over as far as you like. I thought it was easier to demonstrate just a small section, but if you're good enough, with the mouse and all that, you can go across the whole thing, and you can copy the whole thing down and paste it at once, but it could be difficult if you're not, used to doing it. So just, you can just do it in sections, a few columns at a time. Right click, copy. All right, I did a bigger section this time. Highlight underneath again, just an area. Control-Shift down, You can use the keyboard for paste, but I'm using the mouse so you can see it. Right click paste, or you can use Control V if you want to use the keyboard. And it's that same process to copy these formulas down. I'm going to click in here, Control up, just so I can see how far down this is going. Control down so I can see how far down. Control down on the keyboard so I can see the bottom. And then I have one more section to do. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I said I wouldn't, but I'm going to go ahead for the sake of completeness. Again, right click copy, highlight, and actually I should really do the whole thing because I don't know how far this goes. I'm going to use the keyboard to copy this time. And then I'm going to go here, Control Shift down. I think I missed Control V on the keyboard. It's paste to paste it. And there might be another area over here, but you may not even be using this. I'll double. Yeah, if it's already copied down on the left, you can just highlight and double click on this, which is what I just did. Okay, these are just filled in by you, so they don't matter. These are not formulas. You just fill in whatever you want, if you want. All right, but the formulas and those are the main things I wanted to do. Okay, I can set referral fee here. It should, that will fill in. If you want to set FBA fee, you can set kind of a standardized FBA fee. Or you can use software to get it. Okay, so, all right, I had to take some time to show that. That's for physically extending the sheet, right? That's the process of physically making it physically larger, because the template is only 10,000 rows. Future updated version, perhaps I'll already have it down to 20,000 plus rows, so you don't have to do that. Okay, I'll just, I might even just take this and release it as version 3.8 with more rows. Okay, in fact, that's what I'll do. Now, as you can see, the function finally ran out of time, exceeded the continue that I had set, exceeded maximum execution time. That's what happens when it runs out of time. It's not an error. People email me and say they're getting an error. This is not an error. This is just what Google does. Okay, there's a limited time for macros to run. You just dismiss it. You don't have to, but you can dismiss it. So it stops right here. The trigger, remember I set it for 30 minutes. I've been recording for just this video so far for 12 minutes. It's not time for it to start, but it will start in probably another 15 minutes or so. All right, and it will start to find more URLs. And that's basically how it works. But here's the thing. It's not going to make it past 10,000. I'm going to show you why, but we're going to fix that. Again, returning to extensions, app script, and going into the code, the actual code. One thing I'm glad I did is I did create a variable for max number of products. Now, it's actually normally 10,000. I'm just going to change it because it's not usually 20. I just did that before I started the video. It's by default, you're going to see 10,000 here if you're using version 3.7 of this tool or earlier. If I've already updated this into 3.8, it might be more than 10,000. It's a max, and it's set just so that it doesn't, because the loops that I created have to know where to stop. They have, a definite point to stop. And so this is where they stop. Because they're for loops, for those of you who know code. Now, you have to then change this variable. So if you go into the code, you don't have to know how to code. Just come to this main section under the code editor. It'll be on main anyway. Just take this number 10,000 and change it to the new maximum number of products you want. In this case, 20,000. Because otherwise, the loops, they will not move down to this row ever. They'll never reach it. So by changing this to 20,000, the for loops should then run the process of getting down to 20,000. So someone actually asked me if there's a limit on this. As far as there's no limit, because there's just no limit, because all it knows how to do is increase the row and do the same thing it did on the row before. So there's really no hard limit on how many products you can match with this. Okay, the only limit is going to be the number of cells that a Google Sheet can contain, and there is a limit for that, right? Because you have to realize that somewhere out there it takes resources on Google's side to maintain Google Sheets and Google accounts for all the people out there in the world. So they have to have limits on things, right? It's a large limit, but there is a limit. So you can, I mean, I don't think you'll need to do this, but you can increase the space you have on the sheet by deleting unnecessary columns. So like on this export sheet, let me see if I already did that. Well, I probably already did it. If there's any sheet here that has more columns than it really needs, you can like delete columns and that will give you more cells. But you probably don't need to do that because I just don't think you would need to do that. All right, because I think it's about 1 million cells, which is the limit for the whole Google Sheet combined. Meaning every sheet tab combined. I think it's about 1 million cells or something like that. Okay, so that's the only real like limit I know of Google Sheets as far as like physically occupying cells, the number of cells. So that is basically it. I mean, that's the process. You start it, and technically you don't even need to start finding. You actually can just right off the bat go to continue, automate continue, and it will just continue it'll just start. All right, but we use start finding URL, so it just starts right away. But the automate continue is going to keep continuing the URLs anyway. They're going to just continue. Okay, so you can actually just use automate continue and the whole thing runs automatically as far as the matching. Now this video is really just about me showing you how to extend, to doing like a much longer list of products. This is not really a true list of products. I mean, in the sense that, well, it is, but I just took like 100+ products, copied it down so that I could, so that you could see a long list and what to do with it. But of course, you're going to actually have thousands of different products that you might be importing from a supplier. If you've never used this sheet, you might not be familiar with the process. I typically demonstrate using a free Chrome extension if you're scraping from a retail supplier. Retail supplier, you're typically not able to just get a list. You can't, contact them and get a CSV. So, I mean, this is why you're going to use a free Chrome extension like this to pull off the page and pull it into a spreadsheet format, download it. I demonstrate all that on other videos. I won't do that now. But some of you might be working with suppliers where you actually have a CSV that they provide, right? And so you can actually take that CSV. You need the titles, you need the URLs, you need the prices. You bring those in, and then you can start matching the products. Now, as far as the data, the title, the prices, the Amazon data on this side, again, outside of the scope of this video, but I use a browser automation. Only recently did I add a browser automation with the free platform. You can use that browser automation, totally free browser automation. It will pull in the Amazon data into the sheet and place it in here. Title, prices, brands, ships from, sold by. So it's quite beautiful because you can see which products are sold by Amazon, which aren't, which are FBA, which are FBM. So pretty good. I mean, normally you need software to do that. Now, without software, you are still limited. Software such as Keep is going to give you more data than that. It's going to give you like the sellers, like the number of FBA sellers, the number fulfilled by merchant sellers, the rank. It's also going to give you the FBA fees over here. So without the software, you're not going to get that. What I suggest is that if all your products are of a comparable size, like if I look at all these products, I don't actually know the size of some of these, but some of these action figures are actually pretty taller than they appear in these pictures, which are not real. So I might, you could assume, say, like a $10, $7, I'm not sure. With these products, but maybe, let's say it was a $7 FBA fee on average. You can type the 7 in, set FBA fee to 7. And that will automatically go all the way down to the bottom. See, once you change that variable of maximum products, it knows how far to go. And that would give you like the fees. So that's something you can do. Okay. Now, again, that's outside the scope of the video. I've already, taught stuff like that in other videos. No, it may not find a match for every single product, right? That's why we see some of these blanks. But consider doing this manually versus doing it this way. walking away, turn off your computer if you want, coming back and it's matched like 20,000 products. If even 80% of those products are matched successfully, if even 80%, okay, I mean, there's no way you could have done that by hand. There's just no way, right? So even if it takes, a long time to do, it's the fact that you just, as a human being, it's just very hard to do this by hand, right? Same thing with pulling in the product data if you don't have software. So that's really the advantage here, is being able to do this without physically actually doing it. And the fact that you can do it with virtually any supplier. Looking at Tactical Arbitrage, they've got 1,508 sites. Well, that's great. That's a lot of sites, and it's a powerful software. But here's the thing. Rake It In alone has about 3,000 sites. Okay, that's a cashback site. There are thousands, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds. I'm not even sure how many online stores there are that you could possibly want to use as a supplier. So these sourcing softwares do not cover all the suppliers out there. It's just, they can't. All right. And the reason is that they work in a way that they have to really, well, I suppose, I don't really know in detail how they work, but I understand that I would imagine they're using a lot of API services and things like that. And they've got to be programmed specifically to each supplier, because they have to be able to go to the supplier and get the data quickly and, programmatically. Because we're bringing the supplier data here manually, basically, using a Chrome extension to scrape it from a screen, of that website, or page rather of that website, or because we're using a CSV, right? We don't have the supplier limitation, because we can bring, we can always find a way to get the titles, the URLs, and the prices from the supplier and bring it in here. As long as we can do that, we can then, these free search engine scrapes, we'll find them on Amazon. So that is really the idea here. And if you were to, now there is search engine API, it would be more perfect to use that to get these results. But that will cost a fortune, because they basically charge you for every single search. I've used it before experimentally in a limited fashion. And I can tell you, for the number of searches you need to do as a seller, it would just be a tremendous cost to have to search for this many products, and actually pay for every single search with a search engine API, or have credits that you'd run out of constantly, have to replenish. It would just be too costly. So, so if you even get 80% of your matches with the manual kind of, search engine scraping, versus the more costly ways, you're coming out on top by even getting 70%, 80%. I don't have a particular percentage of matches from your list of 10 to 20,000 products. Okay, so that's basically my take on it. And I'm not just saying that because I made this system, but I'm saying that because that's just how it is. That's just the facts, right? It doesn't cost you anything to do these searches indefinitely, infinitely, but it's going to cost you, obviously it costs you every month for software, or for using search engine API inside of a sheet, or, whatever it is that you know how to do. So this is basically going to be your, cheapest and the method that can actually apply to everything, right? So anyway, that's basically it. If you're already using this Google Sheet, great. Make sure you understand how to do this, and you can always contact me if you've got questions on it. Otherwise, check the links in the description of this video. I've got a link to my Gumroad page where I have all of my digital products there and resources for you. And also, make sure you get Automa. Check out Automa. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but Automa has all of the browser. It's a free platform for building and executing browser automations that will automate your browser. I've built a number of automations there. You can see it on my specific page on that platform, and that is what allows for the automatic entry of Amazon, pull-in of Amazon data and into the sheet without using the actual paid software. That'll make a lot more sense when you see my other videos. And so make sure you get that platform and add it to your computer, because you can do free browser automation. with that. You can use the automations that I built, so that it's really like a no-brainer. You should use that as well. So that's basically it. Comments, questions, or suggestions, you can leave them below. You can contact me directly as well via email or otherwise. I'm Mr. Mark. Look forward to hearing from you or seeing you around in another video.